Intimacy is a part of desire and libido, but they're all very intertwined because one leads to the other.
There are studies which state that when the husband and the wife are close together, the kids grow up to be more confident.
These days, I think sending reels to everybody is the way of communication. It's the love language of all of the people, millennials and the Gen Zs.
Being intimate isn't just an act, and desire isn't just a feeling. It's a force, a language, and is at the core of our existence. Welcome to the XnY podcast, a place where we unlock intentions, talk about connections, and decode intimacy. In today's episode, we decided not to beat around the bush, but to hit the nail right on the head. Desire, libido, and intimacy. So many different names. Are they all the same? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Suman Raju, and this is Dr. Himabindu. We co-founded XnY Health, a virtual platform empowering individuals to seek care for intimacy and psychosexual health concerns. And to complete this amazing trio is our in-house expert, Dr. Shravanti Maya, who's a medical and health psychologist with about 16 years of experience in mental health and well-being. Hello, ladies.
Thank you for the lovely intro, Suman.
My first question to you, Maya, is there's so many names, right? Me, for instance, I don't know the spelling of libido also. So tell us, what is the difference between the three terms, desire, libido, and intimacy?
So if you look at it by definition, it seems like they're interchangeably used, but they're not the same. Because desire is a very physical, like the moment you desire, your mind thinks about it. Like you desire to eat biryani, you desire to eat ice cream. So you desire something. But then libido is a very physical response where you start having Ilaiyaraaja music, you have butterflies in your tummy, and then there's something that's happening physically to your body. But intimacy is something that's very much related with the emotions and the bonding that happens between two individuals. So it's about how you connect with that individual, what reminds you of them. Again, intimacy is a part of desire and libido, but they're all very intertwined because one leads to the other. But the stage at which they come kind of defines where the relationship actually leads to. So, the moment we ask anybody, what's your favorite food? You already start watering in your mouth because you're not eating it, but your body is reacting. So the difference is that. So when you like somebody, the way you desire them is different. The way you are intimate with them is very different. And the way your body reacts to them is very different, right? So you keep sending, oh, I miss you, I like you, I love you. And your body reacts differently for all of that, right? So that's the difference between all of them.
No, if I say love at first sight, does it fall into desire or intimacy?
I think love at first sight is a very, very physical thing.
Yes, so that is wanting, right? Desire.
So it's all fake, it doesn't exist.
No, I mean,
It
things
does exist.
happen. Yeah, it does exist. But then, do you want to build on it? Are you making efforts to know the person? You're not like, oh, my favorite color is blue, your favorite color is pink. So it's just on the superficial level, right? But intimacy is like going to the depth of it and understanding the person, not just for their likes and dislikes, but for who they are. What are they made of? Have they had past traumas? Have they had difficult childhood bringing up? Did they have the support growing up as individuals? So there's a lot of this interplay that happens that has to come out. So we just cannot say, oh, I love eating this, you love eating that. I think we're a good match. It doesn't work like that.
Can I say that it starts somewhere with the desire, eventually the relationship builds into having more intimacy and libido?
I think with maturity that comes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't deny because it has to start, right? I mean, you cannot just be intimate with somebody off the bat. It doesn't work like
Yes,
that.
definitely.
You will have to feel that, the music has to go in the background. And I think something strikes you and then you make the effort. So it does exist, it has to start, but effort is what counts.
I understand that the balance between three is important to have a healthy relationship. Can you tell me what happens when there is imbalance in a relationship among the three?
I think that's very important to know that the imbalance will eventually happen.
Yes.
Because none of us are not perfect. And I think traffic is enough to irritate all of us. And then you go back to children, and then the child is not childing. Your brain is not braining. The wife is not listening. The husband's not listening.
Nothing is in control.
And then what do you do about it? At that moment, the same person who looked so beautiful to you on the wedding day is now wearing like shorts and has her hair tied up. And you're like, I do not want to do anything with it. So that happens, right? So the kind of environment we live in, you're bound to feel like this. But how is that you're working on that relationship for yourself? Do you take out that 20 minutes in the bed where you're just lying beside each other and you're talking about how the day went? Are you connecting as people together? And these connections, that's exactly what we are doing at XnY, right? You're trying to get people to think, like pause and actually reflect that you're a person at the end of the day. We're just not here to pay bills, right?
Yeah, it is very nice when you go back home and somebody asks you, how was your day? Just one simple question.
And it makes a lot of difference. And a lot of times people say it's cliche that, oh, do you check on your guy or your girl or your husband or wife? Why is it wrong? Why is it not good to show that affection that, hey, did you have lunch?
I wouldn't want my wife to see this.
I think we're giving a lot of directions for people to actually pick up on how you can build your relationship. As we age, you grow up, you're having education, you're supposed to get a job. And suddenly when you're in the 22 to 28, there's this pressure from the society everywhere, world over, that you have to marry, you have to have relationships. Or if not, then the question is something wrong with you? Do you need to go see a doctor? There's all of that comes, right? But we don't realize that people are on a spectrum. Everybody likes certain things. Some people don't like certain things. So when I say effort is that. To know what does my person like, what does my person not like. But this does not mean we should change completely for them. That's then manipulation and all the other things.
But texting your wife is a simple thing to show that you care about her.
And I'll tell you something that many people forget. It's very natural, right? You're having extremely strong schedules. You're having back-to-back meetings. So take the support of the technology, Let it set reminders. Text your wife to ask about lunch. What's wrong about that? That's how the person's brain actually works, where they're like, so oxytocin, endorphins, all the good hormones come when you suddenly start feeling that somebody's thinking about you. And that one small smile can make a lot of stress go away.
So when you talk about imbalance, is it not normal for imbalance to occur in a normal person?
I think it is very, very normal because if you look at it in women, you have a lot of prenatal when they're in the pregnancy for the 9 months, there's prenatal. During the pregnancy, there's a lot of hormonal imbalance. Post, there is a lot of imbalance. You have premenopausal, postmenopausal. And considering the hormonal imbalances that is happening right now because of sleeplessness, diabetes, hypertension, stress, like the major thing that we keep, the elephant in the room that is always there. A lot of times, people don't even recognize that this is adding to the loss of libido or the lack of desire. But the most common statement that people say is, I don't have time. And the moment you keep telling this again and again in a relationship, people think you're taking them for granted.
Or either they're not giving, they lost the interest, they're not giving me time. The spark is gone.
I think, therefore I am, like René Descartes says, right?
So it's about, are you even thinking that something that you're doing is impacting your partner's well-being as well? Because they say, right, you're going to share about 18,000 meals with a person if you marry at 25 years. Imagine you'll have to select the person in a way that they work with your vibe. It's not about, are they looking beautiful? Are they not tall? Are they dark? Are they handsome? These and all is still superficial, which will fade away after a certain amount of time. But do you feel comfortable? Like Dr. Bindu was saying, you go back home to somebody and you believe there's somebody waiting for you. Fights are going to be there. Difference of opinion is going to be there. You're going to hate each other sometime. You would not want to see each other's face, but that's all a part of the relationship.
I think open communication is very important.
Yes, but one of the most important things that's very less spoken of is consideration. So desire, intimacy, connection do not happen out of thin air. This is work, this is consideration, this is effective communication. Communication is yes, no, okay is communication. But hey, I think I won't be available for the next 4 hours. I'm fine. Please, I'll get back to you when I'm done. Is effective communication. So that the person on the other end is not panicking, is not anxious, and they don't feel like throwing out of the house when you come back.
In any relationship, over a period of time, I don't think any individual can have the same amount of craving and wanting of their partner. How do we go about this one? It's like, does this mean end of a relationship?
So this is something that we call as dry spells. That means a lot of relationships, especially post having a baby, the body is too so, there's extreme hormones in the body. The woman doesn't want to be touched by anybody, and there's postmenopausal aspects as well, where the intimacy is absolutely dull. But understanding that doesn't mean that it's not about sex, right? A lot of times when the moment we say desire, libido, people think it's just about the sexual aspect of it. But there's more to intimacy. Probably that one hug that you give them, that pat on the back,
the
kiss on
emotional component of intimacy.
Absolutely. And it's very funny. I would like to ask all the people watching and all the three of us as well, how many times have we told the people that we love that we actually love them without any reason? You don't do that very easily, right? We have to have a reason to say that I love you. So, it's said that it's very rare that we are vulnerable with ourselves and also with the other.
How many times did we tell it to ourselves?
So I think it's about that effort, right? So it's never going to be the same. Accepting that is far more important. But I think something that as people that we don't do is we don't express what we are feeling. We always tell what we are thinking.
Yes.
But we don't express what we are feeling. Like, I was thinking of you is you're thinking. I was thinking of you, so I texted you is actually telling what you felt. So,
but it need not be like, I missed somebody or my partner and I wanted to say, hey, I know I missed you. But the partner might not be of the same level of, same understanding. Maybe his way of expressing love is different, like the love language.
Absolutely. Gary Chapman said the same thing. There's a friend of mine, whenever you're sitting beside her, she'll at least put one finger that touches because her love language is physical touch. People have affection, people have words, people have touch, people have gifts. But something that we also understand is, even if they're introverts or ambiverts, they will still find a way to send you a meme, right? They'll still find a way to send you that one emoji that says thumbs up. So you have to understand the association that is there between both of them so that it doesn't feel like there is no communication.
These days, I think sending reels to everybody is the way of communication. It's the love language of all of the people, millennials and the Gen Zs.
No, but then that's the whole point, right? You thought of somebody and out of the 50, 60 friends you have, you send it to only those 3.
But it will always be those 4, 5 people whom you keep sending all random.
And that's exactly why, as people, we are different. We are wired differently. We are made differently. And I think we look for that relativity as individuals. It is said, that men don't speak as much about desire, libido, intimacy in their close relationships, whereas women do. Women speak a lot more about it openly. And like you said, we are wired differently, right? Women's minds are like spider's web. So there's a lot of things that you say one thing and they will listen all the 99 things. And you say the man 10 things and only 3 things or 4 things register and the rest of it is all
I would
gone.
say 2.
So over the years, right, it's about building how your person with you is. And you always say, right, that it's also about personal intimacy. Like, do you have enough kindness and empathy towards yourself?
Definitely, which is very important.
Are you taking out time to take care of yourself? Are you tending to your own desires, your own needs as well? So it's about a complex understanding, but something that's very simple that starts at an individual.
Few things I feel I can only do it for myself rather than my partner doing it for me. So I need to tell myself I'm okay, I'm sufficient before I even take validation from my partner. So I would say it's always better to start with myself and then tend to my partner.
So usually when people say there are 2 halves, I have a big problem with that. I'm like, how can 2 hearts make it one? Because either ways, you're still half only, right?
Yes.
So, do you think that people should be complete as people before they actually enter into a relation?
I think it's very important, right? See, being complete might mean different things to different people. But I think what's really important is you should be comfortable with yourself, right? You should not really expect things to be compensated from the other person. You should be able to fulfill your needs by yourself. And when I say fulfilling your needs, I don't really mean it from a physical aspect, but from an emotional and a mental aspect.
Or at least ask for it if you don't know how to fulfill it by yourself.
Absolutely.
Therapy is one way where you can figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And I also see that a lot of people who come to us are also on different spectrums. Like I said, there are about 15 kinds of different sexual personalities that people have, right? So I think it's okay that you have different choices and different feelings and thoughts. But I think figuring out what that is very important.
Aasan nahi hai madat mangna, but with XnY Health, aasan hai madat pana. So, so that's what XnY Health is precisely doing. We try to empower individuals to take care about their intimate health.
And I think it's a still lot hush-hush, right? There's an inherent thought that you cannot talk about all of this. But if you won't talk about this very important thing, there's very less chances that you're going to be a holistic person at the end of it.
There's no point talking about all the 100 million things when one thing, the main spine, is not working. So it's always better to just have a talk. It's not you need to seek help, but you need to talk to somebody, or talk to a professional who will give you another perspective for your thoughts, and you can align accordingly for yourself to be intimately with you or with your partner.
Absolutely.
While you were speaking about therapy, right? I mean, I think when two people live together or two people are in a relationship, both of them need not necessarily go through the same phase in life. So libido and desire also changes according to the phase that you're in, right? I mean, sometimes the focus is on career and sometimes the focus is on something else. So does therapy really help a couple when they go through these lull phases, not at the same time, at different times?
Yeah, you cannot force anybody to go to therapy. Therapy is something that one has to will, one has to want, that, hey, I'm doing this for me. So a lot of people think I'm going to therapy for my partner, I'm going to therapy for my parents. You could never do therapy for anybody else. You will do therapy only for yourself. Over the ages, yes, you can work, and therapy has many modalities for you to try. We have emotion-focused therapy, we have problem-focused therapy, we have couples therapy, we have premarital counseling. That's something many people don't know. That before, if you've decided to get married to somebody, instead of matching your
Kundlis,
horoscopes, come match your, personalities.
Love language.
Yeah, personalities, your love language, what kind of people you are, how resilient you are as individuals, will you be able to match with each other? So it's like that, nobody is a perfect fit, right? But you just figure out which puzzle you both are.
Like when you were talking about the premarital counselings and all, I remember in my childhood when my cousins were not able to be compatible after marriage, arranged marriage setting, and they had difficulties. Whole of the family used to come, and they made, and somehow they used to just live together from the next day. I'm like, what happened here? In one setting where hundreds of relatives who judge you are there and they're forced to. I felt it is more of forcing rather than giving them space to understand each other and lead a little life.
That's because sometimes people don't have the option, right? I mean, while we think about only society and culture, there's a lot more factors that kind of stop people from, whether there's financial independence, psychological independence, social independence, sexual independence. Do you have all of these to just walk away from a relationship? It's not that easy. There are children involved. So there's that. And research states that about 60% of people in India are unhappily coupled. Yeah. And about 40% of them have actually thought we should probably separate, but they don't.
They've never even attempted of, talking out.
Doesn't open. Even come into the mind. Definitely they're crying themselves to sleep. They're not eating. They're not taking care of themselves. They're in a bad stress state.
And then that becomes a toxic family culture for a kid to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only way to break the vicious cycle is to look within, right? Trying to understand yourself as to why a trigger is there in my head. I mean, it's not the situation that brings in, but some kind of chaos in your head is what is bringing all this out.
So childhood experiences, your trauma, your upbringing, where you're from, what you're from, how did you grow up? A lot of these factors play into making you a person.
But I want to ask you a very basic question. What are the health benefits of being intimate?
Reduction in depression and anxiety is something that is noticed when there is intimacy between couples. So it's not about just the physical aspect of it, but it's about those tiny cute things where you eat all the sweet and then there is that one spoon and you push that cup all the way towards them and say, please have it. Suman sir, I know it's very difficult for you. We can try. So it's about that, right? So when you try doing that, it allows your body to be in a far more relaxed state. The stress levels will keep coming, but the very thought of that person, that relationship, or even that space, because we also speak about individual intimacy. Having that space allows you to have what we call as grounding. Irrespective of what is happening outside, you don't easily lose it. People who have cardiovascular health, it is said that they have better health when there is intimacy in the relationship. Intimacy with your plants, nowadays your plant parents, your pet parents, intimacy of all kinds of what we are talking about.
When I talk about intimacy, it is not just about couples. Intimacy only between wife and husband or lovers. It is intimacy with your own self. It starts there and then it goes to being intimate with your partner, which will obviously reflect in your kids, where nowadays the fancy word of toxic household goes out of the window.
I mean, I think there are studies which state that when the husband and the wife are close together, the kids grow up to be more confident.
The conflict between your real self and your ideal self is so much that you forget that there's something called as an authentic self.
Yeah.
And that authentic self is, I'm okay with having a relationship, but I do not want to have intimacy. I'm okay with having intimacy, but I do not want to have sex. I want to work and I want to work after the baby. I do not want to work when the baby is there. Whatever may be the choices, I do not want to marry. I want to be single. I do not want to have a child. Your thoughts are yours to own, but find relationships, support systems. And many people think the moment you say support systems, it has to be friends and family. Therapy is exactly that. It is a support system.
Guys, I think we will keep on going for hours together on this particular topic. I think it's time we wrap it up. My key takeaway from this particular episode is to have effective communication with your partner in any kind of relationship. What do you say?
Consideration, effective communication, being considerate in your relationship, and making the right kind of effort. If our conversation today has inspired you to work on yourself or on your relationship, we are here to help you navigate this crucial landscape. If you have any questions, do reach out to us on our socials. And before we wrap it up, Maya, why don't you tell us what we're doing next?
I think all of you should share our link and actually get all of your friends to subscribe, because the next topic is on the impact of watching pornography on an individual and on relationships as well. And I think this is a very, very important conversation that we should be having. So folks, do not forget to hit like, subscribe, and remember, we are always here, just a conversation away. Take care.